like to win.
And drifts back, Survey, pressured. He's going to throw back against his body. Jeff Simmons! Jeff Simmons! That is a touchdown!
Tighten up.
Let's get it, Chad.
Got a touchdown!
Tighten up, Chad.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Music City Audible Live, MCA Live. We're back. We're glad to be back. Glad you guys are with us. We'll let some people join in this stream here as things get rolling. I am Justin Graver. Joining me, as always, Justin Melo. We are presented by Sinkers Beverages, the premier wine, spirits, and beer store in East Nashville in partnership with 440 Sports. And we got so much to talk about every day, every few hours. There's more news to talk about. We got updates on who the Titans may or may not have actually interviewed or will actually get to interview from their list. We're going to talk about that. We have a loose upcoming schedule of how this whole process is going to start advancing. We're going to do that. And also, Justin, as we've been talking about for over a week now, we are going to sort the 16 Titans interview head coach candidates into tiers, into our personal ranking system, and I can't wait to get into that. We do have some news stuff I mentioned to talk about first. Justin, how's it going?
Well, I'm doing well. Excited to be live on a beautiful Friday morning, wherever you are in the world. Friday afternoon for our European pals. About, 3:30, 4:30 p.m. in most European countries. I know my time zones like the back of my hand. Excited to be 16 candidates, as you said. We've been talking a long time about there being 19 candidates, but it appears as of right now, there are actually 16 candidates for the Titans. More on that shortly.
Why don't we get into that? Let's start there. So the Titans appear to be advancing very soon to their final round of interviews, which can't wait for that process because once we get the finalists out, it's going to feel like we're actually making progress, and I just can't wait till we get to that point. It seems like it's coming really soon. So the Titans are today, Friday, interviewing Brian Daboll. Yes. Tomorrow on Saturday, they are interviewing
Mike
McCarthy. And Sunday, they are interviewing in person
Jonathan Gannon.
And on Zoom,
Robert Saleh.
After that, Diana Rossini is reporting, among others. Ian Rappaport reported something similar, that beyond that, the Titans are expected to start their final round of interviews on Monday. Diana said Monday. Ian Rappaport said early next week. So we're almost there. We're going to get these reports of who the finalists are. I don't know. It could be as early as Saturday. It could take till Monday morning, Monday midday. But by end of day Monday, I think we'll at least have some idea, whether it's agents, insiders, the team announcing we have conducted an interview with, blah, blah, blah. We're going to know who the finalists are. We mentioned yesterday, Paul Kaharski reporting expected 3 to 4 finalists, but as many as 5. And the crazy thing about all this is the Titans will be wrapping up their first round of interviews on Sunday night. And there are 2 candidates, 2 bright candidates that a lot of people really like who didn't fit into the schedule. And those guys are Rams defensive coordinator Chris Shula and former Commanders offensive coordinator, former Cardinals head coach Kliff Kingsbury. There was a lot of confusion about this on the timeline yesterday, Justin, because it was like, oh, is Chris Shula just not interviewing then? And then it was like another report came out that was Chris Shula will conduct his interviews on Friday after practice. And everyone on Titans Twitter was like, oh, there we go. It's happening tomorrow after practice. And I remember reading that tweet thinking, wait, but Chris Shula has 7 interview requests. He's not doing 7 interviews on Friday after practice. And this tweet doesn't specify any of the teams that he's actually speaking with. Well, that came out this morning. Titans, I would guess, Justin, requested to interview him. He said, sure, let's set it up through my agent a few days advance. And here we are. And he's like, I got too many requests. His agent's like, pick your top 3. And this is all speculation. I would guess Chris Shula said, sorry, Tennessee, I don't have time.
Yeah, before I comment on it, look at the greetings from Austria. Love your content. I'm a big David Alaba fan. Gernot Hubler 992. I know a lot of Marco Arnautovic. Shout out to I'm a big Austrian football fan. So shout out to you for tuning in to the live all the way out of Austria. Yeah, I mean, I think your speculation is fair, right? It certainly seems to me that Chris Shula decided to prioritize probably which jobs he's most interested in. Remember, these Zoom or someone said, speak German, Melo. I'm not bilingual in every language, unfortunately. But
well, that would make you a lot more than bilingual.
yeah, that's true. It would make me a lot more. I'm not trilingual, I guess I should say, if that's even a word. So remember, these Zoom interviews last up to 3 hours long each, right? So naturally, he's only doing 3 of them today. I mean, that could take 9 hours of his day, pretty much a full work day, a 9 to 5, if you will, for Chris Shula on the interview circuit today. And it's safe to assume he prioritized the 3 jobs he's probably most interested in. And as Steven just said in the chat, the point I was about to say, can't blame anyone for listing the Steelers and Ravens at the top, right? Like tradition, great ownership, history of winning, culture, all the good stuff that coaches love when they're going through this process. Not surprised that Chris Shula prioritizes them. And then he goes with the Miami Dolphins. Okay, the Miami Dolphins. And I don't want to say I argued, but a bunch of people were in my mentions this morning. The Titans are a better job. Titans are a better job. Well, I generally agree. Kids, his grandfather was the head coach of the Dolphins for 25 years. Okay, 1970 to 1995. It's one of the best head coaching jobs ever done. So if your grandfather was the best ever to do something as cool as being a head coach in the NFL, you'd probably be pretty tempted to maybe try to follow in his footsteps, right? And do the same thing at the same place your grandfather did it at the highest level for. So not surprised his top 3 shakes out the way that they did. Dalen, you're not late at all. We started the stream 5 minutes ago, so you're pretty early here. I'm answering questions on the fly. Yes, I know Austrian soccer players. I love soccer, my friend. I'm a big Champions League guy, big FC Porto guy, and of course the World Cup and Euro Cup. So I'm very familiar with the Austrian soccer players. So no, not surprised that Shula prioritized the teams that he prioritized. I wouldn't say it's certain that he doesn't interview with the Titans, but it is starting to feel like these schedules are getting really, really tight. Both, certainly the Titans schedule. So, yes, you did miss doing well, but I'll repeat it again for you, Dalen. I'm doing well. I'd be doing better if Chris Shula was interviewing with the Titans, but it sure as heck looks like that he's not. You know, again, maybe so you're telling me there's a chance, but the schedules are getting pretty tight. Probably safe to assume he's not interviewing with the Titans.
I'm going to go ahead and do that. And if it comes out, oh, he actually did interview, great, I'll reassess. But as of now, I think all information's pointing to there's just no time. Like, again, he's conducting interviews at Friday after practice. He's still doing 3. That's how long is he even talking to these teams? It's kind of crazy. So,
8-9 hours. It's going to be 8-9 hours.
So we can just, I think we can remove Chris Shula, which is sad because, from October, he's been like my number 1 candidate for a long time. I wasn't expecting Mike McDaniel to be available. I wasn't expecting myself to like Mike McDaniel as much as I do after I've dug through everything. Yeah.
I do want to point out that, Paul Kaharski has been pretty on the money. In that article that you referenced, 3 to 5 finalists,
yep.
He did mention Shula as among the possibilities, yet he's also been beating the drum that the Shula interview hadn't been scheduled. And he was first on that. He was right before anyone else was that the interview hadn't been scheduled. We now have confirmation of that, obviously. So I do think it's interesting that Paul included him in the possibilities for the final round. Just gives me a little faint hope that maybe the Shula thing is not completely dead.
Look, I don't know this for sure, but Paul has said multiple times now that nothing's coming out of the Titans building and that his read on who they like as a candidate is based on gut feeling. So I would take that over him dropping so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so could be among the finalists in an article where he is also trying to generate a little excitement over who those finalist candidates might be. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't think Paul knows, because I don't think anything from no insider, nobody anywhere has any idea what's happening in the Titans building, what they think of the candidates they've interviewed. There's nothing leaking. There's nothing. The finalists will be the information on who they actually liked from those interviews. So I did want to hit this question really quick. Curious why Shula was so high. We're not going to talk about it much because he's not on the Titans radar anymore, but taking over a Rams defense that had just lost Aaron Donald, that was expected to be bad, with a ton of young, granted semi-high draft picks, but young players and a few undrafted guys too, and making them one of the league's top defenses for 2 years in a row. That's number one for me. Number two is the way Sean McVay speaks of him and just the closeness he has with Sean McVay. They went to college together. They played college together at Miami, Ohio. They were roommates together at Miami, Ohio. When McVay first got hired by the Rams, he brought in Shula as a low-level quality control type thing, or no, maybe that was too low. He brought him on the staff in an assistant capacity. And in that first year that Shula was working for the Rams, guess where he lived? With Sean McVay. These guys have probably spent days worth of time talking ball. I think his fast ascent through the ranks, having to earn it each step of the way. He wasn't given a higher job just because he was McVay's friend. And what he's done with that defense, young talent, gotten the most out of his players, and problem solves and adapts in second halves. There's a ton to love about Chris Shula. It's kind of sad that he's being removed in my brain, again, not officially, but being removed in my brain from consideration for the Titans job. Graver, what do you think about McDaniel's interview drip? I mean, he looks great. I don't know why everyone's flaming this guy. Best dressed man in the NFL. He knows how to wear a suit. I don't care if it's got one button or two. He looks great. I love the pictures that have come out of him. There was one at the Detroit airport that came out. There was one of him at BNA on his way to Baltimore that was floating around. So I'm all in on Mike McDaniel. Everyone knows that. Justin, the other guy that I guess I was going to move us, but the other guy is Kliff Kingsbury. And it's like we haven't even heard a single whisper of Kliff Kingsbury. Wow, look at this from Marlon Rando, a $9.99 super chat, just here contributing to the McDaniel signing bonus fund. You know what? That's a great idea. We should crowdsource as much money as we can get and drop it off with the Titans and say, this is for Mike McDaniel. Go hire him. All right, Justin, anything else we want to talk about? Kliff Kingsbury, you want to hit it briefly, or should we get to our list?
Thank you so much for the super chat tip, Marlon. We really appreciate it. No, not worried about Kliff Kingsbury. You know, I think you and I both said at the time when he was rumored to interview that you and I weren't that high on him. You know, I think if I was ranking them, he would, Caribbean Daniel Kingsbury is not a good coach. He's tough to get along with. He's kind of alienated himself at most spots that he has coached, especially in the NFL. I think both at Arizona and now at Washington. I'm not losing any sleep over Kingsbury not interviewing for the job.
Me too. I thought there was a chance he could possibly land as an OC in Tennessee if he doesn't get a job elsewhere. But that would, to me, that was going to be one of those, let's interview him, and then if we like him as a potential OC, we'll suggest him to one of our first-time defensive-minded candidates. The first step didn't happen. They didn't interview him. So that doesn't mean he's out of the running, especially if he ends up knowing whoever the Titans hire. But he's definitely not in the running for the Titans head coach position, which takes us to our tier list. So let's talk about how we're going to do this, Justin. Here's the tier list. I figured, F it, we'll do it live. We're going to build the tier list live with the audience in a Google spreadsheet doc that I have open here. You'll notice that Chris Shula and Kliff Kingsbury's names are crossed off. This is everyone the Titans interviewed. And obviously Chris Shula and Kliff Kingsbury, they did not interview. So they were part of the initial candidate pool. We're removing them. We're not even going to sort them in these tiers. I just wanted to get your take, Justin, the audience's take. We didn't discuss this in advance, audience. We figured, again, it's more fun live.
No,
so these are the
Dalen, he did not talk me into 5 tiers. He kind of forced it on me, but I'm going to have fun with it. Here we go. 5 tiers. Let's do it.
So first of all, the tier names. We got home run. That is like maximum quality. Let's I think put a disclaimer out. Everybody has some level of concern around them, whether it's a first-time head coach and we have the you might be Brian Callahan concern, or whether it's a retread and we have the you might be just as bad or even worse than you were in your last stop, and all the reasons you got fired from your last stop are going to manifest immediately here. We know that that's the case for literally every single candidate. So even for the home run candidates, there's something that gives you pause. But we're willing to overlook that, whatever that is, and put them in the home run category. The next one is, I'm calling, and you tell me if you like this or not, Justin, and so do you guys in the chat. Coordinators matter. So this would be like a John Harbaugh, for example, who's obviously not included in this. Somebody who is going to be a CEO-style head coach who doesn't necessarily specialize in one side of the ball, or maybe if he does specialize in one side of the ball, the coordinator on the other side of the ball matters a lot. So anyway, coordinators matter. And there's a chance that everyone ends up as a coordinators matter, Justin. So we may need to tweak this as we go. But that's my only concern with it. But Zach Lyons is watching. What's up, Zach? Curtis would rather have McCoy than Nagy. Hey, he said that yesterday, apparently. That's a crazy take.
Is that Corey Curtis? Who is that? I don't know who.
No. That's Curtis in our chat right here. Curtis07.
Oh, Curtis in our chat potentially. Yeah, no, I think that's wild. I mean, no way would I take Mike McCoy over anyone on this. I guess spoiler alert in terms of where we're going to put Mike McCoy, but you probably should have had it figured out by now.
No, there's no limit on the tiers here. Kenneth Kral asks, so you only get 4 home run picks. Look, there might be 1 home run candidate. There might be 0. And I think what we're going to do is I'll throw out a name, Justin, and say, I'm moving this guy to this tier. And you can either say, I agree, let's put him in that tier, or I was going to put him in a different tier, let's discuss and get feedback from the audience. Do you like that as a general practice here?
Absolutely. You lead us. You're the one who came up with 5 tiers. I'm surprised you don't have 16 tiers. Why let's not have a single tier for every coach on the list? But
that's just a ranking.
You go ahead and you start us off, and I will agree or disagree. Hopefully disagree, so we have some good discussion.
Yeah, we should have had a tier that's their name is Mike. Chris Lawrence says, let's make it Mike only coaching staff. I mean, you already got Mike Borgonzi in the building. Go hire Mike McDaniel. And then maybe bring in like Mike McCarthy to be his OC. No, I'm just getting crazy here. Mike LaFleur. All right, Mike LaFleur, not a Titans candidate. The other tiers I came up with are reserving judgment. So this is like, there are reasons that this guy could totally succeed, but I have personal reservations, and we'll see. If they win on the field, all those reservations will be gone. Then there's I really hope not, which is essentially the same as do not hire, but it's like, I really hope not, but I could be talked into it under the right circumstance. Like Vance Joseph is a guy in that category for me, spoiler alert. And then there's the no God, please no, Michael Scott meme, do not hire list. That is our last tier. And I think we can start there, Justin, because number one, the episode is called the do not hire list. So we should pay that off. And number two, because it's easy. Like for me, I'll just get us going. And this is the easiest one. Obviously, Mike McCoy is in the do not hire tier. I'm assuming you agree. Why don't you give me a couple other names for this tier?
Yeah, that's the no God, please no tier with Mike McCoy. I would personally put Steve Spagnuolo in that tier as well. And sorry, just as I'm looking at all the lists here, do you want me to give you as many as I've got, or?
Yeah, why not?
I'm going to put Steve Spags in that tier. This is hard to do on the spot. I'm going to put Jonathan Gannon there. And I'm going to put Jason Garrett there. And I could put 1 or 2 more, but I might cap it at 4. I think those are my 4 least favorite candidates on that list, personally. Yeah, I think I'll cap it. I'll probably cap it at those 4. I could easily put another 2 that I've got in mind, but
I'm going to put Lou Anarumo on this list too, if you don't disagree.
Yeah, that's the one I was referring to. I was going to, I really hope not, or please do not. I mean, I have no problem with Lou Anarumo. I think he's better. If I was individually ranking them individually, I think I'd rather have Anarumo than Gannon or even Spagnuolo or even McCoy, in all honesty. So, but I've got no problem with putting Lou Anarumo there. Raheem Morris is the other one that's borderline for me.
I'm with you, and I was considering Raheem Morris in the I really hope not tier. Justin, by the way, I'm on this screen now, so I'm not looking at our chat. I'm not looking at what's going on with the stream. If you don't mind keeping an eye out for any good comments, anyone disagreeing, while I focus on this screen on this side, we can, I think, move it up. Let's move up to I really hope not. I consider Jason Garrett and I really hope not, but I think you're right. Ultimately, he should be we should be definitive with this. He's a do not hire list candidate for me. My spoiler alert. Here it is. I think Vance Joseph is in the I really hope not tier, and this is the first candidate that I'll spend more than a second. I won't just gloss over. Vance Joseph is very highly thought of around the league. He's coordinating one of the best defenses in the NFL for 2 years running. Same reason I liked Chris Shula. He had his shot as a head coach. many years ago, 7-8 years ago now, if the Denver Broncos didn't make it to a third season in Denver, was hamstrung by some really bad quarterback play, didn't call defensive plays even as the head coach when he was there in Denver, and is being connected by some folks to the Cardinals job for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a super unattractive job. Nobody wants to take it. And number two, he has been in that organization as the defensive coordinator, so he has a relationship, presumably, with Michael Bidwill or others in the building. I think there's a chance Vance Joseph could find success in his second time as a head coach. He apparently relates really well to players, very likable guy. He was a defensive back, came up as a defensive backs coach. But ultimately, I think he could have success, but I think I said this a few weeks ago. I don't want it to be on the team I root for. I don't want my team to be the one that takes the chance here. And it's not anything against Vance Joseph himself. It's just that the pool of candidates got so good so fast this time around that Vance just fell down the list for me, tumbled down the list for me.
Yeah, I've got him in the same tier that I really hope not. I agree with most of what you said. I'm not as bullish on him as you are. I know some things went wrong in Denver with the quarterbacks, but his in-game management was really bad. They had some ugly losing streaks, some really ugly performances. I'm not a Vance Joseph guy. I think it's fine to put him in. I really hope not. This is going to be a fairly small tier for me, but
same.
I guess I would. Did you have Raheem Morris in this tier? Because certainly I'd put Raheem Morris in this tier as well. I see him as similar to Vance Joseph, except maybe even worse because the sample size is larger, right? He's been a head coach at two different spots, failed in both opportunities. So for me, Raheem Morris is definitely in this tier. I'm going to put two more here, I think, if you don't mind. That's going to be Brian Daboll. I would put here. I could be convinced on Daboll as a coordinator, but I don't think I could be convinced on Daboll as the head coach. There's some things got worse in New York when he left, but he had a lot of opportunity there, a lot of years, and there were some really ugly stories about him sort of getting into fights with his coaching staff, putting losses on them. He's got a bad temper, not in a good way, in my opinion. And I think there was some explosions between him and I remember a story. There was a game where they lost 17-13, I think it was. And he blamed his defensive coordinator for losing the game in a private fight. And it was Don Wing Martindale. And he was like, bro, your offense scored 13 points, right? I just think accountability is a thing with Brian Daboll. Yes, his interview was today, Stephen. That's correct. And the other name that I'm going to put in this list, I think I can't believe I got here, but yes, funny you say that, Dustin. I promise you didn't influence me. But Arthur Smith, I would put Arthur Smith in this tier for me. I really hope not. I just think, as you said, as this Titans list has expanded, I think they have better options than Arthur Smith. And yes, I thought his tenure in Atlanta wasn't as bad as 7-10, 3 years in a row with those quarterbacks. They didn't get any better under Raheem Morris, who we put on this list as well. But for me, just not enough evidence there. And by the way, and this might be the wrong use of this analogy, if you will, but let sleeping dogs lie. You know what I mean? Arthur's tenure here as offensive coordinator was so good. I think I'm okay with just admitting, hey, we had a pretty good time together. Let's not do something that maybe makes us look back on it, negatively. He had a good run here as OC. It just is what it is. As this candidate list expanded the way that it has, I don't want them to hire Arthur Smith. I think those four coaches are actually perfect for the I really hope not tier.
Yes, and as you were talking, I've been formatting and live updating this, making it look a little prettier. I added a qualification to this tier title. I'd love to hear the chat's thoughts, Justin, although I can't currently read them. Better as a coordinator. I really hope not, or better as a coordinator, because I think that applies to 3 out of the 4 on this list. It could apply to 4 out of 4, but it doesn't make sense for Vance Joseph because he already is a defensive coordinator of the number 1 seed in the AFC. He's not going anywhere else as a coordinator, so it doesn't make sense to call him that, but I do think it could apply to him. Raheem Morris, Brian Daboll, Arthur Smith. any of those three, if you brought them into Tennessee as a coordinator on whichever side of the ball they work on, I could get on board depending on who the head coach is.
Same.
And I'm totally with you. Like, I think Raheem Morris would be my top choice for defensive coordinator of this team if they hire an offensive-minded head coach, a Mike McDaniel, a Mike McCarthy, a Matt Nagy, somebody in that
Agreed.
ilk.
Potentially agreed. I mean, it depends what all those guys have their own connections to good defensive coordinator candidates in their own right. But the connection between Mike McDaniel and Raheem Morris, for example, Morris would be my number one choice. Probably my number one choice for D coordinator if they hired McDaniel. And even Art Smith. I agree. Like, if they hired Mike McDaniel, and I don't think Art Smith would be his offensive coordinator, but I could get behind that, especially if, McDaniel was calling plays.
Right.
Smith comes in here. He adds some duties. He was good with the O-line, good with the tight ends. Maybe Mike Munchak comes here to coach O-line in that scenario because Mike Munchak and Arthur Smith had a great relationship. Remember, they worked in Tennessee together. I believe Art Smith got his start in Tennessee under Mike Munchak as head coach way back in 2011. So you could sell me on a Mike McDaniel, Arthur Smith, Mike Munchak coaching staff on the offensive side of the ball. Then Raheem Morris as the DC, I could totally get behind that. But that's why he fits in this category. I don't want Raheem Morris to be the head coach of this team. But you could sell me and on top, like Dable and Arthur Smith, I might be able to get behind that. I mean, we just talked about Smith. I might be able to get behind Dable as an offensive coordinator as well. So
I mean,
I think that tier is perfect.
I'll go a little bit stronger than that and say, number one, like, Arthur Smith is a great play calling OC candidate to me for somebody like Matt Nagy. Now, I don't know if Matt Nagy knows Arthur Smith. I would doubt he knows Arthur Smith. But there's a lot of people who are anti-Arthur Smith because of what happened with the Steelers. And it's like, he's building an offense around a 42-year-old quarterback who doesn't want to take a hit at all costs. This isn't necessarily like we saw Arthur Smith as an offensive coordinator in Tennessee be incredible. Why would anybody? I get what you're saying, Justin, about like let that live as it was and not taint the memories. But I also think he could do the job well for somebody who is designing their own offense in a Matt Nagy, but not calling the plays. I don't know. I could see that. And Brian Daboll, to me, if you hire a defensive-minded head coach especially, has got to be one of the top OC candidates on the market. Like, if Mike McDaniel doesn't get a head coaching job, he's the top OC candidate on the market. In my personal opinion, Brian Daboll did incredible things as the Bills' offensive coordinator with Josh Allen. Like, yeah, his head coach stint didn't go great. Brian Daboll would be an excellent OC. One of the big things we were talking about at the beginning of this season was that Jackson Dart gets to be coached by Brian Daboll while Cam Ward has to be coached by a clown. Like, there's no one that can argue with me, and no one could tell me that they wouldn't like Brian Daboll as Cam Ward's offensive coordinator next year if somebody on the defensive side was the head coach.
I agree. I think Dable would be a great coordinator candidate, but shout out to Iron Grids here for the comment. Character is a huge factor. Dable isn't coming anywhere near this team with how often he blew up in New York. I was surprised that he's even being interviewed, to be honest with you, for the Titans head coaching job. Maybe it is disguised as a coordinator thing, and maybe they'd be more willing to take on his personality at coordinator as opposed to head coach. Little late to the show here, Cody, but I'll quickly answer your question. We don't know for sure that Shula refused to interview with the Titans, but he's not interviewing with them today. So he's interviewing with 3 teams today. Obviously, you'd have to assume the Titans not in his perceived top 3 because he's interviewing with Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Miami today. So we'll see. Shula might have declined an interview with the Titans. We don't know for sure.
Get Iron Grid on the case here, Justin. I'm formatting this doc all by myself. Could use his help.
Everyone in the chat, you can't see the chat. They're all saying you need 3 or 4 monitors, and then we need to start a crowdsourcing fund for you to get a 3rd or 4th monitor here.
Okay, so that is actually a very interesting thing because I do have 3 monitors. I have my laptop right here. I have what's it called? Prompter, Elgato prompter monitor here, and I have a desktop computer here. The problem is that, so I'm on the spreadsheet on my laptop. I have the head coach. I'm just doing other shit on my desktop. And the Elgato monitor is just simply too far away and too small for me to read. Like, I see the chat moving. There's no way on earth I could read what they say, what they're saying. So anyway, That's where we're at here, Justin. I have got at least a decently formatted looking doc now that's evolved over time. And maybe I could use some internal lines on this bad boy and then some of this action. What do we think? Iron Grids, give me some feedback on the design here. And we will move on.
DJ Silent 01 for the super chat tip. I want whichever head coach brings us love. Graver, I think you probably feel, I don't want to say similarly, but you're a big proponent of the Titans drafting Jeremiah Love. So shout out to DJ Silent 01. We see you in the chat all the time, buddy, pal. We're in a group chat together. We really appreciate you. Shout out to him for the super chat tip. I know that we need super chats to get Graver some glasses, says Chris Lawrence. So shout out to the latest super chat tip. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. All right, let's move on to the reserving judgment tier. And we're going to slow down a little bit now, Justin. I don't want you giving me 3 candidates at once. We're going to go back and forth. We're going to discuss some of these guys because it's getting that to that point where this is somebody they really might hire. And I'll start us off. And this might be controversial to some people watching. I wonder how you feel. I'm putting Kevin Stefanski in the reserving judgment tier. This has a lot to do with what happened in Cleveland. Now, I think that, depending on how you want to feel about Kevin Stefanski, you could argue that he's one of the top candidates, and you can point to certain things, that he made the playoffs with Joe Flacco, and his offense looked really good until his quarterback situation devolved into madness. You could point to some good things. You can also point to some bad things that, players have said since he left that they weren't really being held accountable, that if you look at this chart that was floating around on Twitter a couple weeks ago, it's like EPA per play by the quarterbacks coached by Kevin Stefanski, how they performed under Kevin Stefanski and how they performed everywhere else in their career. And for almost all the quarterbacks Kevin Stefanski has coached, almost all of them have played better elsewhere, at least in terms of EPA, which can be a team stat and could have to do with having a better support system. But it exists. And also there's the whole huge, whale in the room, elephant in the room. He has a losing record as a head coach. And I don't know if Zach's still tuned in, but Zach's done so much work on the historical precedent that it says if you had a losing record in your first stop, what does that mean for your next stop? It's just very rare for a guy to turn it around. There's got to be outlier, extenuating circumstances. There's another candidate on this list. If you follow the show closely, you know who I'm talking about, that we believe can be the outlier. I am going to have to reserve judgment on whether or not Kevin Stefanski can be that outlier.
Great comment from Jordan, by the way. I need to quickly read to you. How many super chat tips, Graver, to see a Heed the Call Graver vape rip on MCA? So how many super chat tips would it take for a Graver vape rip?
I try not to do this on this show because it's not really part of our show brand. It's more part of a Heed the Call brand. But sometimes you get me in a good mood on a live stream.
Wow, Graver just hit the vape live on MCA without the extra super chat tips. A man of the people. Look at him go.
FCC regulations be damned.
I am in full agreement with you on Kevin Stefanski. I would place him in the reserving judgment tier. I don't quite think he's the home run that I thought he was. And I give all the credit in the world for winning Coach of the Year twice. And I mean, Coach of the Year sometimes is an overrated award. I give all the credit in the world for taking Cleveland to the playoffs twice. I think someone joked in the chat a minute ago, that is harder to do than win a Super Bowl. And you know what? You're not kidding. Graver literally killing himself for the show.
It is nicotine, Iron Grids. It's not my preferred medicine.
And shout out to DJ Silent coming through with a second super chat tip. Can we interview Arthur Smith's mustache? Definitely a call. That thing is beautiful. If you don't like Art Smith's mustache, I second guess your opinion on mustaches. That thing it's perfect salt and pepper, great thickness to it. Like lip to mustache ratio is off the charts on Arthur Smith right now. I've been very impressed with Art Smith's mustache. So thank you so much, DJ Silent, for the second super chat tip. And I'm in full agreement with you on Art Smith's mustache. Back to Kevin Stefanski. Yes, I fully agree on the reserve judgment here. I don't think that's hate, Francesco. Great name, by the way. That's fun to say. Remember Elf, Francesco? That's fun.
I think it's Francisco, but yes.
Francisco, excuse me. Well, I have a lot of Italian friends. A lot of them go by Francesco. So I guess this one's Francisco, maybe because it's got the I instead of the E in the middle. But and listen, there's some good and bad with Stefanski. No doubt about it. 2-time Coach of the Year, took the Browns to the playoffs twice, navigated a lot of toxicity in Cleveland from the Deshaun Watson situation, terrible ownership with Jimmy Haslam. All that sounds like we should have him higher on this list, but some of the stuff that came out, regarding his leadership, the way the Browns players questioned it on the way out, we need someone who's going to hold us accountable. A lot of the same stuff that Tennessee said, and Patrick agreed. Whenever I hear or see Francisco, I think of Elf. I hit the nail on the head on that one. That's fun to say. I've
got a poll going. I just posted it in the chat. Do you agree with the list so far, with the tiers so far? Votes are coming in fast. It's heavy majority to yes right now. I don't know if I can put this on screen. I don't think it's linked into StreamYard, which is what we use to stream out of. But if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it, obviously. And it's at the top of the chat there. We're up to 38 votes. Okay, we'll let that go. We'll come back to it, and hopefully nothing we do changes it. But I do think Kevin Stefanski is one of the guys that's worth a discussion because the Titans are about to move on to their second round of interviews. Stefanski has been reportedly linked to the Atlanta job. There was an early report in the whole Harbaugh sweepstakes that whoever didn't end up with Harbaugh between Atlanta and New York was going to go hard for Kevin Stefanski. I've heard other things that Clint Kubiak could potentially be in play for Atlanta. So if they hire Kubiak, what happens to Stefanski? There was a Tom Pelissero report on Good Morning Football this morning talking about Stefanski feels good about his chances to get a second interview with as many as 3 teams. So there's definitely, and whether that's agent feeding fluff or actual reporting or Stefanski saying, I like these teams, and that's how that info gets out, you always have to think about where's the info coming from and parse through it. But there's definitely people in this league who view Stefanski very highly. Like you said, 2-time coach of the year. And I could see Stefanski having success, but his history in Cleveland also scares me. I think there are so many situations he could have handled better as the head coach there, and I know it's kind of like I'm kind of talking out both sides of my mouth because I'll give Robert Saleh the benefit of the doubt for coaching in a terrible organization and not having success and saying, well, the Jets suck, and if you look at the Jets right now, they've been a dumpster fire since before they hired Robert Saleh. They were a dumpster fire with Robert Saleh, and they were a dumpster fire after Robert Saleh. Kevin Stefanski, in an equally dumpster fire organization, made the playoffs. So I can totally understand why people would disagree with us having Stefanski here and not higher on the list. Like, I know Tyler Rowland has Stefanski as his number 1 candidate right now. So he would come on here and say, put him in the home run tier. I wonder how many people in the chat feel that way. Justin, can you make the case for Stefanski, the good positive side of the case, just so we, play devil's advocate and hit both sides of this thing?
Well, I think everything I just said, right? Like, he's a 2-time head coach of the year winner. He took the Browns to the playoffs for the first time in a bunch of years. He also won them their first playoff game in, I think it was 26 years, right? And I think, again, the culture in Cleveland, Jimmy Haslam, Deshaun Watson, all the mistakes that were made above Kevin Stefanski really did hurt his candidacy, I think, the job that he was capable of doing in Cleveland. So that's the good side of Kevin Stefanski. I do have some questions about his ability to lead, command a room, hold guys accountable. That's why I have him in this tier. Quickly going to answer this question by Brandon. What's wrong with Steve Spagnuolo? He went 11-40 as a head coach, Brandon. I mean, he's old. He hasn't had an opportunity in a long time. I just can't get behind Steve Spagnuolo's at 11-40 as a head coaching. His head coaching tenure is just truly, truly terrible. So no, I cannot get behind him. The chat is moving fast and furious. Everyone agrees and disagrees with everything, by the way. So it's tough to read every opinion. People love Stefanski. People hate Stefanski. Shout out to Brandon for the super chat tip. I didn't want to miss it. Yeah. Hire Saleh or McCarthy already. Tighten up. No spoiler alerts, but we clearly are very interested in those candidates. They haven't made the list yet. But yes, I fully agree with Stefanski in this tenor. Do you want me? And by the way, I'm sorry, Zach. I absolutely hate this narrative. I don't know if Zach's joking or not. Stefanski didn't coach the playoff win. He was at home on the couch. Yes, he had COVID. He got the Browns to the playoffs. Do you think he was not involved in the game planning for that playoff game at all? He just took a break. Like, I don't get the thought process that Stefanski doesn't deserve credit for that head coaching win because he had COVID. I mean, I don't know.
I think he deserves credit for getting them to the playoffs, but that whole week, he wasn't just on the couch during the game. Yes, Zach's saying it. The whole week, he was zooming into meetings, which doesn't mean he didn't have any say, but
he didn't have any say. You don't think he was leading the meetings? You think everyone else was leading the meetings because the head coach?
Of course he was leading the meetings, but he wasn't at practice. He wasn't talking one-on-one to people and coming up with plans together. Like he had to rely on his coordinators to win that game. And that game, by the way, if everyone doesn't remember, the first snap of the game, the Steelers snapped the ball over Roethlisberger's head into the end zone for a Browns touchdown. Like, that game got out of hand so fast. It wasn't because of coaching brilliance. And
no, but the point is, the way I look at that, coaching brilliance got them there, right? And they won a playoff game under his head coaching tenure for the first time in
Zach, what are you doing?
years.
Zach, do you want to jump on? Get on here and argue this. Where are you?
I don't know. I've seen Zach make that argument before. That Stefanski doesn't deserve credit for that playoff win. I think that's wild. So I don't agree with that theory whatsoever. Zach always gets me sidetracked. Damn it! I had something else I think I was about to pull up here. And
Zach, I will send you the link if you are in a place where you can hop on. Is there anyone else that goes into this tier?
There is, but yes, I think it was a super chat tip from Grant Charlton 04. Loving the streams. Give me Mike McDaniel. More on that later. Yes, there is someone else that goes in this tier for me, and that is Matt Nagy. I mean, the elephant in the room. I don't know where you were going to put Matt Nagy, but I've got Matt Nagy. I think you were going to put him in this tier. I have a feeling, if I know you the way that I
was
do.
not. I was
you
not.
You were not going to put Matt Nagy in this tier?
No, Zach, 10 minutes. That's perfect. Send me a chat or a Twitter DM or something. Mets signing Bo Bichette, if anyone cares about baseball.
That does upset me very much, Rob. I saw your quote on here a few minutes ago. I cannot believe our Jays missed out on both Tucker and bringing back Bichette. We've had a great offseason, but that's going to hurt.
Yeah, Tucker to the Dodgers is ridiculous. Okay, let's continue. Oh, wow. This is... Bring in Matt Nagy to Nashville. You know what, Justin? It's time for another poll. Let's go up here. I'm going to end this poll. First poll, 71%.
I agree with you on this. I mean, most people want Nagy even lower than this, although Caribbean Daniel just agreed with you. I think Nagy has to go in this tier with the reserving judgment. I think you'd be crazy to put him above this because, why am I reserving judgment? All the things that we said that, 34-31, winning record in his first tenure as a head coach, despite having some terrible quarterbacks. And yes, they were all terrible quarterbacks. Mitch Trubisky, Nick Foles, and Justin Fields. That's the good side of Matt Nagy. The bad side, if you will, is obviously things fell apart in Chicago. The devil's advocate side of the argument. After Vic Fangio left, it feels like the whole team fell off a cliff. A lot of people feel not a lot of people feel. That first year was maybe driven by the defense. They were first in turnovers, I think first in sacks or top 3 in sacks, whatever it was. And they fell off a cliff after that. So for me, I've got Nagy in this category. I mean, the damn thumbnail you made, Graver, has Matt Nagy's face on a do not hire with the text.
That's to get the people to click on the
I don't think you could put Nagy higher than this, man.
That was purely to get the people to click into this stream. Now, I wish I could give credit to this. I think it was somebody in our YouTube comments who said this yesterday, Justin. Apologies. If you're watching live, let me know if it was you who said this, that Borgonzi may be in charge of this process, and he may be making the final decision, but there are 4 other people in that room interviewing each one of these candidates. Chad Brinker, Reggie McKenzie, Dave Ziegler, and Dan Sagany are all in that room. And they are all reviewing these guys together after each interview. As the process goes on, they will cut the list down from initial interviews to finalists together. This is something that made me feel better about the possible idea that Matt Nagy would become the Titans head coach. It's not just because it's...
Yo, that was me, by the way, because you just asked.
There you go, Dalen. Thank you for pointing this out. And sorry for not remembering it was you. If they end up hiring Nagy, it's not because Borgonzi hired his friend. It's because Borgonzi was able to convince 4 other people and Amy Adams Strunk that his friend is the best man for the job. And also, something else that gives me less concern about the fact that this is all a setup to lead to Matt Nagy is Ian Rappaport went on NFL Network yesterday and staunchly said, definitively stated, the Titans had a massive offer prepared to give to John Harbaugh. They didn't get the chance to make that offer, but Amy Adams Strunk and everyone involved in the hiring process was ready to go, drop everything, and make that offer. So that tells you that they weren't just going to do all this nonsense and end up hiring Nagy. John Harbaugh stood out as a potential better candidate. Is there anyone else? We'll find out when the finalist list comes out.
Patrick, I want to address this comment because for the sake of playing devil's advocate, and I've made it clear my feelings where I'd put Nagy, there's a reason that ball knowers are higher on hiring McDaniels in any capacity versus Nagy. Doesn't Nagy have 5 head coaching interviews or 4 or 5? He's got a bunch. So I don't know if that's true, Patrick. I mean, I know he interviewed for the Ravens. I believe he interviewed for the Cardinals. Okay, Ravens, Cardinals, Titans. And then I don't remember what the 4
Raiders.
Raiders, maybe?
Yeah,
Raiders,
the 2 R's, Titans and Cards are the 4.
Teams are interviewing Matt Nagy for the head coaching gig. Just saying.
Exactly. And his agent obviously has something to do with that, and his agent's been doing a lot of work. And back to why I believe he belongs in Coordinators Matter is, number one, he's not going to call plays on offense this time around. So getting a good offensive coordinator is going to matter, although I think that matters less than what you already what you said, that the defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, helped his team win 12 games that year. And obviously, we also credit his offense. But when Vic Fangio left, the defense sort of fell off a cliff. If he hires a great defensive coordinator, then he could have a very successful... he did it. He won 12 games with a great defensive coordinator with a terrible quarterback. Imagine what he could do with a good quarterback, or a hopefully we think could be good quarterback. I think that, Justin, I don't want you to appease the masses by saying that he belongs in the reserving judgment tier when I think the way the league views him would be more in the Coordinators Matter tier. Now, I will go with you on this if you feel really strongly about it, but think about how cool and hot takey and polarizing we can be if we're the ones saying he actually belongs a tier above that.
Well, no, listen, we don't have to agree on this, and we won't. And again, I've made it clear that I do not hate Matt Nagy, right? But to put him in the second tier, I think it's a bit much. I think the Titans clearly have better candidates, or at least we feel they have better candidates than Matt Nagy. And yes, look, we're going to put some of the first-timers in some of these high categories. And because of the uncertainties that come with first-timers, there's a great chance that Matt Nagy ends up being a better head coach. I don't know. Chris Shula might be awful. Jesse Mint, we don't know those guys, right? Jeff Hafley might be awful. But for me right now, based on how Matt Nagy's first tenure went, I am totally on board with saying he's not the bumbling idiot Titans fans think he is. We have 5 tiers. We didn't put him in the 5th. We didn't put him in the 4th. I think 3rd is perfectly reasonable. I think other than that, I don't know. I start to worry that I'm being honest with you, we're live. I'm starting to worry that you're letting the fear that they might hire him and wanting to get on board with it impact how you, which tier you'd put him in. For me, 3 out of 5 is perfectly reasonable.
Okay. I'm with you also for one other reason, which is that we need at least more we need more than one name in reserving judgment, or else what's the point of having its own tier? And just an update, I posted a poll, Justin. Scale of 1 to 5, how much would you hate Matt Nagy? And everyone was confused because they were like, does 1 mean I hate Matt Nagy, or does 5 mean I hate Matt Nagy? Yeah, so I clarified to say 5 is the most hatred. 21% of people are in a 1 to 2 range, 39% are in the 3 range, and 40% in the 4 to 5, I absolutely hate Matt Nagy range. So Matt Nagy, potentially the most hated candidate. I actually had a conversation on Twitter last night, Justin, and shout out to Ballin' Ollie. I don't know if you know him, Justin. He's a big Titans Twitter guy. Me and him went back and forth last night because he said Matt Nagy was their worst candidate. And I said, worst?
No.
He was like, yeah, there's 18 candidates I'd rather have than Matt Nagy.
That's
outrageous. And I spouted out basically the guys we have in our oh God, no, please, no list. Mike McCoy, Steve Spagnuolo, Jonathan Gannon, Jason Garrett, Lou Anarumo. You'd rather have those guys than Matt Nagy? Give me a break. I think while I'm with you, I'm totally cool putting him in tier 3, reserving judgment. The hate has gone too far in the Titans fan base. Like, the hate has simply gone too far. This is a guy who had a winning record, who won 12 games with Mitch Trubisky, who was a double doink bad kick away from winning a playoff game with that team. He's not the disaster everyone makes him out to be, and there is a real chance he ends up as the Titans head coach. So, like, we should.
I mean, that doesn't give it a reason for you to like it, right? Or be on
No.
board with it kind of thing. They might, whoever they hire, it might be terrible. We'll see. But for me, that's why I like. I look. A lot of people love Kevin Stefanski. I've got Matt Nagy on equal footing as Kevin Stefanski. Like, I don't hate either of them. I just think the Titans have better candidates, at least some of the higher end ones, better than both of these guys.
We got some, people wish Jason Garrett was one tier up. Maybe there's a lot of people on board with Nagy. Absolutely should be in tier 2. Graver is definitely pre-coping on Nagy. Fair. I mean, I can't really control that.
Everyone's all over the place, which is fine. Look,
it's great. Yeah.
For Nagy.
Kitty Cat Jones says Matt Nagy goes into the tier of I'm not afraid of him getting poached if he's OC, and that is what scares me. If McDaniel goes to Detroit, he will be the top candidate in 2027. Totally agree.
Here's a comment we need to clarify from Cool Hand Luke. You'll know where I'm going. Nagy actually inherited Mitch Trubisky. They drafted Trubisky the year before they hired Matt Nagy, so he had nothing to do with that decision. And I think it's admirable that he inherited a bad quarterback who was terrible as a rookie, and they were 12-4 in Mitch Trubisky's sophomore year. Credit where it's due.
All right. The people are calling for it, Justin. Let's move on to tier 2. Sorry, did you want to hit that question? / criticism of me?
No, I mean, look, I just, for me, I think, again, I don't hate Matt Nagy, but tier 2, way too nice for my liking, way too friendly.
Yeah. That's fair. Look, I've been known to pre-cope, but no, you're right. Matt Nagy here. It makes perfect sense. I'm gonna check in on Zach, see if he might be willing or interested to join us and argue about Kevin Stefanski and yelling at you. He sent me a link and I don't know what it is. Sorry, we're live, people.
Caribbean Daniel's absolutely correct. While you figure that out, Trubisky and Fields they are bad quarterbacks. I said earlier that Matt Nagy inherited 3 bad quarterbacks in Chicago. And, he deserves a little bit of credit for being able to go 34-31 with the quarterbacks that he had. But I agree with the last too much time on Nagy. Move on. Coordinators matter, Graver. Do you want me to get us started? Because for me, I am putting Jesse Minter on this tier, the Chargers defensive coordinator, who is the most popular head coaching candidate in the NFL. He had 8 requests to interview for 9 total openings, and it might be 9 if the Pittsburgh Steelers request him. They were the last team, the only team that hasn't requested him, but again, they're the latest team to join the head coaching cycle. So most popular candidate here for the NFL is Jesse Minter. I'm putting him here because, and I'll probably keep this a little bit short, Zach did a great job, and I've done the research as well. I had done my own research on who his offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators might be. And it's pretty hard to draw strong connections to Minter's, buddies or coaching trees or whatever you want to call it. We got Zach live from the car here. I'm just talking about why Jesse Minter is in the coordinators matter tier. I've got a lot of questions about who he'd be able to hire. Go ahead.
We'll come back to that. Let's bring Zach onto the show. I've got to do some quick work here to get him seen. Let's see. Is this going to work? Hang on 1 quick second. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. Welcome to the show, Zach Lyons.
Hello.
How's it going, Zach? Make sure you keep your eyes on the road. This is a family-friendly.
That's why I have the camera in front of me so I can make sure I can keep. I don't know what I even look like on the camera, to be honest with you.
You look beautiful, to be honest.
You look like a pair of sunglasses above a steering wheel, mostly.
Yeah, the phone will only stay up vertically, so that means that it can only see the very tippy top of the steering wheel.
Nice. That's great. So talk to us about Kevin Stefanski and why he deserves 0 credit for winning a playoff game.
Well, here's the thing. He wasn't even in person at any of the practices leading up to it, and he definitely wasn't in person at the game. And listen, he gets credit for taking them, even though it wasn't a COVID year. And we all kind of know LeBron James and Mickey Mouse championships during a COVID year. But he does get credit for taking them to the playoffs, or at least coaching them to the playoffs. But he's not calling the plays. He's not making the decisions during the game. And you're trying to give him credit for something like a win, when in all reality, when shit hits the fan, he's not making any of the decisions. He's not making any of the in-game decisions in that game. So unless you think that he perfectly predicted the entire outcome from play number 1 to the final play, and maybe you do, he deserves no credit for the win. Now, he deserves credit for getting them to the playoffs, but if you remember, that team scored 48 points in the playoffs without him, scored 22 points the week later with him.
To me, it's like I see a whole season as the overall body of work, right? And for me, coordinators are Stefanski's hires. Listen, I get what Zach is saying, but it's a body of work. They went into that game. They were not prepared to win that game in the 3 prior practices that he wasn't present for. That is a full year job, right? When you are coaching a football team, that starts in May, June, July, when OTAs, training camp, like the job that Kevin Stefanski did that year is what got them and put them in a position to be a team that is capable of winning a playoff game. No, he wasn't calling the timeouts at the end of the second quarter. As Graver said, like the Steelers start that game hunting the ball. I don't even remember how many important in-game decisions were made in that game by the coordinators that were coaching that game, if you will. But for me, I look at a coaching job. It is a body of work, entire year. The job, and you're talking about a franchise that hadn't won a playoff game in 26 years. So for me, I'm always going to give credit to the head coach. Yeah, and listen, I don't want. He had a cold that week, whatever it was. To me, it's not.
Yeah, COVID. It wasn't just a cold. Don't downplay it, Mr. Canada. It killed Americans. What are you doing? Downplaying it? Oh, she just had a cold. It's fucking COVID. What are we doing here?
Listen, I am fully vaccinated. We're not going to get into that whole thing. I am not the COVID was a cold thing. I'm just having fun with you.
Mr. COVID denier over here.
All right, I'm changing topics.
I'm doing the Elon Musk and Joe Rogan pod right after this one.
I'm changing topics. Zach,
listen, I get, but real quick, I get what you're saying in the sense of he did have a good year coaching, no doubt. But we all know that game planning week to week is a totally different animal than just a body of work. And that's not to say they wouldn't have won that game if he had been there in person. We don't know that. But to give him like full carte blanche credit, like all-encompassing credit, is a little much to me. And spare me with this Coach of the Year stuff. Jason Garrett has a Coach of the Year. Matt Nagy has Coach of the Year. And I know you're not saying that, but I just want to speak to the chat just a second. Matt Nagy has Coach of the Year. Jason Garrett has Coach of the Year. None of you guys want him. Ron Rivera has it twice. How come none of y'all are trying to go for Ron Rivera? Like, Mike Tomlin never won Coach of the Year. Matt LaFleur has never won Coach of the Year. And you guys would slaughter people to make sure that those guys became your head coach if you had the opportunity to. So spare me that Coach of the Year fucking matters. It's a narrative. It's a narrative-driven thing.
I totally agree. I agree that the Coach of the Year, we tend to overrate it when it comes to hiring these candidates. But look, what was it? This is look at this. This must be my burner. This is Justin, Tennessee. Let me get this straight. He's saying that the head coach of this team doesn't deserve credit for the playoff win because he wasn't at the stadium that day.
Or the entire week.
3 practices, right? 3 practices.
Yes. All
That's
right.
a lot.
You
Understand that everything happens in those 3 practices when it comes down to what happens in the game, right? Like, that is specific. At least good coaches do this. Maybe Stefanski doesn't. Game plan for their opponent in the entire week.
I'm going to settle this by saying Stefanski deserves 37.1% credit for what happened in that playoff game.
I'll give
Zach,
it to you.
The people want to know, in your opinion, the percentage chance you think Nagy is the hire and whether or not your opinion on Nagy has changed over the last few weeks.
My opinion has been since Brian Callahan got fired, it's a mortal lock that Nagy is the head coach. So that really hasn't changed. I mean, like, I'm at like 90%. Let's just be honest. Apparently right now, I don't know if you guys saw it during your show, but our boy Pretty Ricky has put out that Josh Williams, who I'll explain who that is in a minute, is a favorite to land the Falcons GM job. Josh Williams is a staunch 49ers executive. He's been raised through the 49ers ranks. I'm beginning to think Robert Saleh is going to be the guy over there. Maybe still Kevin Stefanski, but maybe that's why we're hearing all the Kevin Stefanski propaganda today, because he's starting to lose out on some jobs. But my stance on Nagy really hasn't shifted. At all these retreads outside of Mike McDaniel and Mike McCarthy, I have I have tons of different concerns for all those head coaches: Stefanski, Nagy, Saleh. I know I'm missing a few. Raheem Morris. All those guys have different concerns at different degrees. So, but I just think that I would be very, very pleasantly, but very, very surprised if it wasn't Nagy. I think the only guy that really gives him a run for his money is McCarthy. This is just too much of a relationship business, and there's too much of a relationship there between Nagy and Bergonzi to just be like, oh, he can't happen and blah, blah, blah. And now listen, you made a great point as I was leaving the house, Graver. Nagy still has to sell himself to the owner. Nagy still has to sell himself to the other four guys in the room. And then Bergonzi still technically has to be convinced that Nagy is the guy. But I definitely think Nagy's on this staff somewhere. I still lean head coach, but he is the overwhelming favorite in my mind.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that the fact that there's a whole committee in there means if they hire him, he earned it, but it still wouldn't make me feel all that much better. Zach, thank you so much. We're going to let you go.
Yeah.
Appreciate you hopping in for your coaching takes. Zach does great work. Follow him at the Zach Lyons. Listen to him on Cover 2 with Blaine and Mickey.
Peace.
See ya. Wait, bye. With Blaine Bishop, I meant to say. I don't know what I said. With Blaine Bishop. And let's hit this, Justin. Holy goodness gracious. Is this James? South Texas
I was
Titan.
wondering the same. Is that James?
I don't remember the 49 being attached to James's South Texas Titan, but I don't know many other South Texas Titans. James, if this was you, and even if it wasn't, South Texas Titan 49. Thank you so much for this.
James, love you, miss you. And if it's the different James, still, or it's a different James, a different South Texas Titan, whether your name is James or not, really appreciate you. One of the most generous super chat tips we've ever had in here. Thank you so much. He says it's my work one, so I believe it is. It does. I think it is James. So thank you so much for the super chat tip. We miss you, James. Don't be afraid to pop by the chat and say hello once in a while.
Yeah, James, love you, man. Miss you every day. Hope you're doing great with your big time secret job that we're not going to talk about. And thanks for hopping on and this contribution. My gosh, unbelievable. Thank you so much. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's put some other names on this board because we got 4 names left on the board that need to find a home. You know, Justin, I wonder if you disagree here.
I was talking Jesse Minter when Zach hopped
Oh,
in.
right. Yeah. Go coordinator potentials for Jesse Minter. That's where we were.
So I'll keep it short, but I've done the research, the history of Jesse Minter's coaching career, really hard to connect him to exciting coordinator candidates. Now, he was obviously just in. He's still in LA as the coordinator. They just fired Greg Roman as the offensive coordinator. That's an easy one to connect to Jesse Minter. That doesn't excite me. The Chargers have interviewed a couple in-house guys to replace him, Marcus Brady and Shane Day. Perhaps those guys would be offensive coordinator candidates for Jesse Minter. That doesn't excite me. I got a really hard time. Now, listen, there's a chance the Titans hire Jesse Minter and tell him Brian Daboll is going to be your offensive coordinator. Matt Nagy is going to be your offensive coordinator. That's why I'm placing him in this coordinators matter category. I'm really intrigued by Minter as a first-time candidate. I love that the whole NFL is interested in Jesse Minter, but I've got my concerns with his staffing connections, and that's why I would need to know who his coordinators are going to be.
I'm totally with you, Justin. Like 100% everything you said. I won't waste our time rehashing it. I'll move us on to a candidate I want to put here. And this is one where there might be pushback. So tell me what you think. But I would like to put the great Bob Saleh into the coordinators matter tier, and I can explain why. Look, if he had had a different set of circumstances in New York, who knows what would have happened. But, for example, Mike LaFleur, he hires in New York. He fires him so that he can hire, what's his name?
Nathaniel Hackett?
Nathaniel Hackett. Thank you. Sorry, slow brain. Yes, so that he can hire Nathaniel Hackett. He hired Todd Downing. He hired Keith Carter as his own line coach after the Titans fired Keith Carter. Like, he made some really questionable coaching staff moves. Somebody
Todd
like
Downing, Todd Downing was an O-line coach, wasn't he?
I think he was a wide receivers coach or something. But regardless,
no, I think he's the wide receivers coach. You might be right. He's the wide receivers coach now on a 14-3 New England Patriots team. Like, who cares? I
mean, fair point, but he didn't nail his coordinator hires. Okay, Jeff Hafley was a great hire on the defensive side. He knows his defense, but how can he really nail the OC hire?
You mean Jeff Ulbrich, I think. Sorry, you meant Jeff.
Sorry,
Ulbrich.
Yes, excuse me. You know what, guys? Doing a live show, it's tough. It's tough business. Yes, Jeff Ulbrich, great DC hire on that side of the ball. Matt Nagy had great staffs, right? I don't have as much concern about Matt Nagy's staffs. Even a guy like Sean Desai was Matt Nagy's final defensive coordinator. I think he only got 1 year before they were all fired in Chicago. And he was thought of as a big time up and comer in the Fangio system. And I haven't heard a single thing about Sean Desai since the end of that, but that sucks for him, I guess. But random. Anyway, Saleh, I think coordinators matter. If you tell me you get Robert Saleh and Mike McDaniel, or even something crazy like Robert Saleh and Jason Garrett, or Robert Saleh as head coach with Matt Nagy as OC, I think there's tons of ways that could work. I'm not going to get super excited for Robert Saleh reuniting with Mike LaFleur, however, or, some of the polls he had in New York. So I'm curious if you think this is too low or just right. Where are you come down on Saleh?
I think your explanation is totally reasonable, but I do disagree. I've got Robert Saleh as a home run. He's my favorite remaining candidate personally. And I'll tell you why. Like, you talk about Jesse Minter. Like, I can't quantify the leap to knowing what Minter's, who Minter's candidates are, right? Like, I don't know them. I don't like them per se. And I do know them, but I don't know them for sure because they might hire someone. But to me, the reason Saleh is a home run, because I could justify the connections that he has, right? I would love Mike McDaniel as his offensive coordinator. I would like Mike LaFleur as his offensive coordinator. Like, I think Robert Saleh has so many connections to that McVay, Shanahan, whatever coaching tree that I have a lot more confidence that is rooted in evidence. I think it's rooted in fact that I believe he would hire a good coordinator. Whereas with Minter, I'm just hoping, crossing my fingers and guessing, right? So because I've got more confidence in Saleh hiring coordinators than I do in Minter, I've got him a tier above. I've got him as a home run hire.
All right, I just posted a poll in the chat asking where Robert Saleh should be ranked, and my goodness gracious, we have to take a pause.
Wow.
$1 tip. Wow. Appreciate the live stream. That is all. Melo is wearing his hat like T.I. That's a hashtag. You appreciate the stream, and we appreciate you, and we appreciate you supporting the stream because we do it for you guys.
T.I. might be my favorite rapper of all time, so maybe that was done on purpose. Very interesting.
Subconsciously, you put the hat on, look in the mirror, and think I look cool, and you don't actually think like I look like T.I. But because
if I recall, didn't T.I. kind of wear it was like off his head essentially? If I recall, I don't think it looks anything like the way T.I. wears his hat, but I do love the super unbelievable super chat tip from Lemdos. Thank you so much for supporting the channel.
Here's a good point, and it's kind of the way I feel and why I put Saleh where I did. Saleh could be a home run, but to me, it's Saleh plus a great coordinator makes it the home run. And Dustin says, if you're putting Saleh there, McDaniel needs to go there too. No, fight me. Sorry, you don't have to fight me. But I disagree. But look, I put a poll up. If the people want Saleh in the home run tier, we'll do it. It is super tight right now, Justin. 62 votes in. 52% say he should be. 48% say he should not be. We gotta let this. Run for a second to get a definitive answer. Is there anyone else you would have in the coordinators matter tier?
Hold on. Sorry, I want to address this question. Saleh picked Mike LaFleur as his offensive coordinator. So did Sean McVay. Mike LaFleur is the offensive coordinator for Sean McVay and the LA Rams right now. I don't care that he does not calling plays, right?
Those aren't the same thing. Robert Saleh is a defensive-minded head coach. When he hires an offensive coordinator, that guy has to lead the entire offense. It's the difference between Brian Callahan under Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan in Tennessee.
But this comment is insinuating that Mike LaFleur is probably a bad. I don't think Mike LaFleur is an idiot because those Jets offenses didn't. They drafted Zach Wilson. That's why the offense wasn't good, right? And then they gave Aaron Rodgers all the power. I think tore his ACL or his Achilles, whatever, 3 plays into the season. I don't think LaFleur is a bad offensive coordinator. I think he took an impossible job. I don't think anyone coordinates that Jets offense to success.
I am with you, but using it because Sean McVay hires him doesn't mean that the Titans should hire him this time or that he is a good offensive coordinator. It means he's good at the role that McVay needs him to do, which is help come up with game plans, identify stuff on tape, and create solutions. But
I'm not saying
leading the entire side of the ball, I mean, that's a totally different stratosphere.
I'm not saying Mike LaFleur is definitely an incredible offensive coordinator, but I don't think that using that Jets tenor can with any sense of reason say, well, he's definitely bad. Same thing we do about Saleh.
I agree.
You agree that Saleh's head coaching tenor, right?
No, I agree. And I don't think Mike LaFleur is definitely bad, but he's not particularly inspiring either because he has had a stint where, I mean, it's not like, I don't know. What is this? Like, do you even know what a home run is? Sorry, I'm just clicking on random stuff.
Saleh. That's fine. That's fine.
People hate Saleh. Look, I did clarify that the home run category still is going to be full of people that have major question marks because every single candidate in this pool, and this maybe you missed this because I said it at the beginning, every single candidate that's available has a question mark or else they wouldn't be available. Either they're available because they're a first timer, and that is in itself the biggest question mark of all, or they're available because we saw them get fired for some reason. Will that reason come back again? What was Robert Saleh's reason for being fired, though, Justin? Was it, and I'm not trying to get you or whatever. This is a legitimate curiosity.
They didn't win enough football games. It's the reason most head coaches get fired.
Right, but why? Why? Was it because he couldn't develop a quarterback? Was it because the defense wasn't performing the way it should under his leadership? Was it because the offense wasn't performing? Like, we can kind of narrow it down and say that the defense was performing at a super high level. So it wasn't because of the defense, which is the side of the ball he oversees. But the offense was underperforming, regardless of why. Whether it's Aaron Rodgers, whether it's Zach Wilson, whatever.
You're always going to be held accountable for that. That's the way it
I
goes.
know.
It doesn't always mean it's the right decision, though. The Titans held Mike Vrabel accountable here for the way that they were playing. And look at that now. Like, the head coach is always going to get blame at the end of the day if the football team is not winning, right? Like, that's just the way this profession and business goes. But listen, we're going to move on. I have no problem with you keeping him in this tier. I'm just being honest. Robert Saleh is a home run for me. That's who I want them to hire. That's my personal opinion.
Totally
now,
fair.
The other guy we're going to throw in this category, I think we're both going to agree on, and we'll be shorter on him, is Jeff Hafley. I think Jeff Hafley, no doubt about it. Similar reasons as Jesse Minter. He's a first-time candidate. He's a bit of an unknown. Now, one of the things that gives me more confidence on Jeff Hafley than Jesse Minter is he appears on the surface. We don't know who all these guys' friends are, but he appears to have a better list of contacts for potential coordinator roles, right? Working in Green Bay, Adam Stenovich, a non-play calling offensive coordinator. That excites me more than anyone that I know Jesse Minter is connected to. He worked in Miami, so I think for a while. So you've got Frank Smith, the offensive coordinator down there, a non-play calling coordinator. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, there's connections between Hafley and Mike LaFleur as well. There's 3.
Well, he works for his brother. That's a big connection.
No, Hafley. Oh, sorry. Yes, of course. I believe there were 3 current NFL offensive coordinators who do not call plays who have connections to Jeff Hafley, and all 3 of them I would have more confidence in than Jesse Minter's potential coordinator hires. But again, because Hafley is a first-time head coaching candidate, and we'd have to see what the coordinator hires are, I've got him here in the – I like him. I think he's done a great job calling that Green Bay defense. I think he has did a decent enough job at Boston College based on the challenges of that job. I really like Jeff Hafley. He's in this tier 2 for me.
Yeah, we haven't spent a lot of time talking about him in a while, so I'm glad you went through that just now. And I think there's, if he ends up as a Titans finalist, we're going to spend a lot more time talking about him. Right now, he's not really been on my radar personally. Like, we haven't spent a lot of time on this show. I do think this point here from Kirby and Daniel, I would want former head coaches as coordinators for first-timer Hafley. It's not a must. It's not necessarily a must, but, like, can you imagine Hafley with Matt Nagy and Raheem Morris or something like that, some combination like that, or Brian Daboll? Like, there's a lot of good options that the Titans have interviewed that they could recommend. And to your point, he has a ton of personal connections himself that he might be more interested in working with. So I think he definitely belongs in this tier. Justin, I'm going to end the poll with 88 votes. I don't know, there's still votes trickling in. Vote, vote, vote if you haven't voted in the poll. Should Robert Saleh be in the home run tier? I'm closing it down in 10 seconds. So vote, 89 votes. All right. It's not going to change, even if the results move slightly. 90 votes. 56%, Justin, want Robert Saleh in the home run tier. You win, my friend. Not that there was a competition, but I'll concede it. I will concede it. Happy to.
Final two candidates, I think, right? No spoiler alert, essentially. They're both going in the home run tier. That is Mike McCarthy and Mike McDaniel. All the Mikes, put them all up there. Except Mike McCoy, of course, but Robert Saleh, I won the poll, as you put it. I'm keeping him in the home run tier. I do have McDaniel and McCarthy here. Listen, with McCarthy, he's just a floor raiser, right? You know what you're getting. He's developed quarterbacks before. Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, he's done a good job with young quarterbacks.
People forget this, Justin. 2023, Dak Prescott was poised to win MVP. He was right there to win MVP. Ended up finishing second in votes. That was the year after Kellen Moore left. Mike McCarthy took over play calling and turned Dak Prescott into what we think of him now. Now, Dak Prescott had great years in the past, rookie of the year. I mean, he'd been a on the scene, established guy. But that 2023 season under McCarthy was the year that really elevated him up a notch to one of the premier passers in the league. And then 2024 was a big step back, and then we all went into 2025 down on Dak, and then he came back and was incredible again, even though their defense stunk. Mike McCarthy is as much of a home run as anyone else. Like, I personally, I would love Mike McDaniel. That's like an age thing for me, is that I think you can have Mike McDaniel for 25 years, like in a Kyle Shanahan-esque, Sean McVay-esque role. Mike McCarthy, obviously already, 62, 63? He's getting up there. So he would probably give you 5 to maximum, probably say 10 good years if it all works out. But I think, Justin, and this happens to Jason Garrett too, there is this thing that happens to football fans and people in the media and everywhere. It's like the Cowboys tax. Like, if playing for the Cowboys, like Dak Prescott, allows you to be much more public facing and in more commercials, et cetera, there's the antithesis of that is that everything associated with Jerry Jones gets laughed at. So if Jerry Jones hires somebody and then they are there for a long time, but they don't have playoff success because the Cowboys simply haven't had playoff success in forever, and then they leave after a time, like Jason Garrett, who had a winning record as a head coach, like Mike McCarthy, who had a super winning record, multiple, I think 3 straight 12-win seasons with the Cowboys. They leave, and it's like suddenly there's like people laughing at the idea of that person being a coach again in the NFL. It's the Cowboys tax. It's association with Jerry Jones. Makes you seem more laughable at. And I know there's plenty of people who are all in on Mike McCarthy as much as I am, but there's equal numbers of people who don't want Mike McCarthy because of the Cowboys tax. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. Mike McCarthy would be an incredible grand slam home run, in my opinion, for Cam Ward especially.
I agree. I like Mike McCarthy. I think the resume speaks for itself. Like 185 career wins. He's won a Super Bowl, been to the playoffs multiple times. Shout out to DJ. I believe this is his third tip of the
It
stream.
is.
Thank you so much, DJ Silent 01. Could Saleh follow McDaniel with a title bump? I'm not sure I understand the question, but if you're asking if McDaniel would be Saleh's offensive coordinator, I think it's well within the realm of possibility that he would be.
I think he's asking it the opposite way. If McDaniel gets a head coaching job, would Saleh leave the Niners and come coordinate for Tennessee?
Saleh would leave the Niners. No, if Saleh doesn't get a head coaching gig, I don't think he's leaving the Niners.
I don't think the Niners would let him.
No, of course. Why would they? I did see a question earlier that said, what's the question on Mike McCarthy? I like him just to play devil's advocate. You know, obviously they didn't have the greatest playoff record, especially down there in Dallas, right? And I think that's a Dallas issue. I think it pops up time and time again. I don't want to pretend Mike McCarthy's not. There's no such thing as a perfect candidate. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that he's a perfect candidate. But I do really like his resume. I agree with someone who said he's almost got the same resume as Harbaugh. Or they have. And everyone was shilling over Harbaugh. Like,
It's almost identical. Win percentage,
They've won a
Super
bunch of games,
Bowls.
bunch of great record as a head coach. I really like Mike McCarthy. I will not complain if they hire Mike McCarthy.
And that chart I was talking about probably 45 minutes ago now on Kevin Stefanski, where all the EPA for each quarterback he's coached and how they performed on other teams under that head coach and not under that head coach. And if Kevin Stefanski's quarterbacks were all terrible under him and better everywhere else, Mike McCarthy's quarterbacks have all been fantastic under him and worse everywhere else. Now, part of that is, or not everywhere else, but under everyone else, which includes Dak Prescott. Of course, Aaron Rodgers under Mike McCarthy was in his prime, and now he's old as heck and is doesn't look like the same player. So that's a little caveat, grain of salt there. I do want to hit this question really quick. Kenneth Krall, again, McCarthy, not a home run hire. His in-game management is the same level of poor you gave Vance Joseph. Have we forgotten, and this is the part I wanted to answer, he ran a QB draw with no timeouts to lose his season and get fired. Kellen Moore called that play. That happened when Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator. Kellen Moore ran that play with Tyler Shook and the Saints a few weeks ago, and it worked to perfection. The timing worked to perfection, and they kicked the game-winning field goal, and everyone praised Kellen Moore for having the guts to call that play in that moment. It was exactly the same as what happened in the Cowboys game, except that the Cowboys did not get down fast enough. So are we going to praise Kellen Moore for making a great call that won the Saints a football game, and at the same time blame McCarthy for allowing his offensive coordinator to call an offensive play that did end up not working out, but it was this close to working out? I'm not going to accept this as McCarthy being a bad coach because of one play call that his offensive coordinator made 4 years ago.
Fully agree with you. Do you want to give us the spiel, the 10-minute spiel? I'm capping you.
10 minutes.
At why Mike McDaniel belongs in this tier.
Yeah, I really wanted to play my McDaniel watch sound with this, so give me one quick second, Justin. Being live is always a challenge, but here we go. Can you hear it? Is it happening?
Yes.
Today on McDaniel Watch, Mike McDaniel yesterday interviewed for the job in Baltimore, the Baltimore Ravens head coaching job specifically, and we'll see how that went. Mike McDaniel also in the mix for multiple offensive coordinator jobs, and I don't really have one today. Mike McDaniel definitely belongs in this tier because, let's be real, he would be a home run hire for Cam Ward specifically. Plenty of questions about the culture, the leadership style. I tend to think that his leadership style would work. There's another clip going on my Twitter timeline today, Justin. Another clip of him with Cater Kohu. Is that his name? The slot corner that was there in 2023.
Yes.
There's this really cool clip. It's a short one, and I don't have it prepped, or else I'd play it on the live stream. Of McDaniel walking up to Kohu before a practice one day and saying something like, "Hey man, you do a great job getting the guys going. The guys look up to you. This is your team too. If you ever feel the energy down at practice, pick us up. We're counting on you for stuff like that. All right, have a great day," and walks away. It's like a quick little interaction, just like McDaniel empowering the team leaders on his team to be team leaders, to help set the culture that everyone claims he cannot set. McDaniel won so many games, he's in the same category as Matt Nagy, which means that people who don't like Matt Nagy shouldn't like Mike McDaniel, and vice versa, except that McDaniel offers something more. He's going to call plays at an insanely high level. There's that other Hard Knocks clip going around that I haven't tweeted. I might tweet my own version of it. Haven't decided yet. Where the Dolphins playing the Jets, and McDaniel's on the sideline like, "I'm visualizing a one-play touchdown drive right here. I'm visualizing it. I just can't not see us having a one-play touchdown drive right here." And then he's like, I can't remember what kind of coverage he's looking for. If we get this coverage, it's Waddle scoring a touchdown on this play. And then they're lining up for the snap, and he goes, "Oh, we got it. Snap the ball to a downfield Waddle, one-play touchdown." It's like, this guy is a literal genius. If you have the chance to hire a literal genius, you take it. It's that simple to me. The risks are there. I'm not denying risks, but there are only so many geniuses in the NFL, like top 3 to 5 offensive minds, maybe top 3, and he's one of them. You bring that guy on your team, and if it means you got to figure out the culture stuff and you got to help him with the whatever that means. If that means Raheem Morris as DC, as a guy who can help set that culture, if that means he has the conversation that I just told you about with Kader Kohu, with Cam Ward and Jeffrey Simmons, where he goes up to them and has that little one-on-one and says, I need you guys, I need your help, because I'm going to help put you in the right position to succeed. I need your help with the team. Whatever it takes. Get the genius in the building. The end.
I think we've talked a lot about Mike McDaniel over the last couple of episodes. I agree with you, and I've got more reservations than you do. Certainly with with his leadership ability, holding people accountable. I think his coordinators, especially on the defensive side, would really matter to me. I'd love for that to be someone like someone like Raheem Morris, who we talked about earlier, because they've worked together a couple of times, and I think Morris kind of helps you out in the department that McDaniel might lack in terms of being the fiery, holding guys accountable, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think Raheem Morris would get along great with like a Jeffrey Simmons, right? I don't know that Jeffrey Simmons would love Mike McDaniel, in all honesty, but because Mike McDaniel is the offensive genius that he is, I have to concede that he does belong in the home run category. I can't imagine being any more excited about Cam Ward offense than I would under Mike McDaniel. Shout out to Woodrin the Pootie, 6964, the super chat tip. Can we talk about important stuff, please? Like, what are we deciding to call your flock? The Justinians? I can't even say it. The Justinians? The Justinlings? We needs answers.
We needs answers. There's a lot of good suggestions that have come in. Audible Army still up there. Audio Files was a pretty funny one that I liked.
The Justin's League.
The Justin's League, the Justice League. I like a lot of the names. I need to go back through. I think we're nearing the point. I was trying to wait for the coaching search to conclude before we really got back into that idea. Let the names keep circulating, keep thinking of things in your brain. You never know what idea is going to randomly pop into your head, and you're going to want to comment it on a show next week, maybe. But let's keep the ideas coming, and we'll cull them down. I'll go through and we'll cull them down. We'll create a little poll and do it. But yes, I'm glad you brought it up, because we are still in the hunt for a name, and we've got a ton of great suggestions, but we could always use more, because you never know when that one that's going to hit you is like, oh, that's the one,
I'm with you. So I think as we get ready to end this stream, Audible Army is a great one. The Autobots, Nathan, I saw your question earlier. T.I.'s best album is Trap Music. I didn't get a chance to answer it, but Trap Music is the best album T.I.'s ever released. As we get ready to end this stream, just sort of a rehash, if you will, the word is the Titans are going to be moving on to the second phase of their head coaching search, potentially this Monday. I think there's a great chance that we, as you mentioned, Graver, at the top of the show, over the weekend, that we start hearing about who's going to get maybe the second recommendation, make it to the second phase of interviews for the Titans. There will be in-person interviews, with Amy Adams Strunk present. That is the word. Yes, Curtis, did I blow you away when I spoke Portuguese on last week's stream? I would blow you away with my knowledge of hip-hop, I think, if we got to talking, and I think you'd be shocked. Justin knows so much ball. Knows so much Portuguese, knows so much hip-hop. Just keep patting myself on the back, if you will. Second phase starting next week. It could start as early as Monday, maybe Tuesday. I can't wait to see where this thing goes. And
to answer the question that's on screen here from Jordan, for folks rooting for McDaniel and or Saleh, are we rooting for Seattle? We are rooting. The only rooting interest I have this weekend is in Seattle. Let's get Robert Saleh on the market. Let's get this process moving and wrapped up as fast as possible so we can start talking about other things, because this marks the 10th straight show that we have talked about the head coaching search, Justin. 10 in a row, because every day there's so much news. There's so much going on. Glad we get to do one live so we don't have to worry about it.
We're going to boot Flowers Powers from the check. Can we boot him? Because he knows what he did here. Benfica is a rival sports team of my favorite team. And fun fact for everyone, I am not kidding you. I hate a lot of teams in sports, okay? I don't hate anyone as much as I hate Benfica, okay? When I talk about true vitriol, like just true hatred coursing through my veins, Benfica's ahead of the Texans, the Colts, the Jags, you name it. I cannot stand them. And we beat them 1-0 the other day. I enjoyed every second of that victory.
Good for you, Justin. Good for you. So, yeah, we're rooting for the Seahawks to beat the Niners, put Saleh on the market. It doesn't matter who wins LA, Chicago, because Chris Shula, apparently, TBD, but 99% sure, is not interviewing with the Titans. Doesn't matter who wins Chicago. That's that game. Doesn't matter who wins New England, Houston. Titans aren't interviewing Matt Burke or anyone associated with either of those teams. And there's one more game, Buffalo, Denver. Doesn't matter for the Titans. Well, it could matter. Vance Joseph did a virtual with the Titans. Davis Webb, I kind of want to be available so that another team fills their head coaching vacancy with him because the Titans aren't in on him. And that just moves the process along. Take a candidate out of the pool that is not a Titans interest. Take away a competitor that could be looking at somebody the Titans want to hire. So I'm actually rooting for the Bills, even though if you watch Heed the Call, I did double lock the Broncos. Hit this.
I want to do rapid fire. A couple of quick questions and comments because there have been a bunch that I want to address here. You guys really are the best. No, it did not. Saleh's outburst towards Cohen does not concern me because if you recall correctly, I kind of blame Cohen for starting that. I thought it was silly for Cohen to get on the field and say, keep my name out your mouth after the game. I thought that was pretty silly. I didn't think Saleh's initial comments, there was anything wrong with what Saleh did. Cohen's the one who instigated that. Yes, Rob, I hate Benfica even more than I hate the Montreal Canadiens. Shout out to Rumham, great name. What are the chances? Porto's a great city. I got engaged there. What are the chances I'm talking about Porto? That's where you got engaged. Flower Powers here. We will definitely be doing live stream mock drafts. Let us get past this content. The head coaching hire is obviously dominating content right now. We're going to get into some of the staff. Once that head coach is hired, we'll have reactions to the head coach. We'll have staffing connections and reactions. But once we're past this head coaching hire, we are full steam ahead on free agency and the NFL draft. If you don't follow my work elsewhere at the Draft Network, I am a big time draft guy. So there's going to be a ton of draft content. Shout out to Wes. Go AC Milan. I feel you. Rafa Leao is one of my favorite players in the world right now on the account that I am Portuguese. They're going fast and furious here. I don't know.
Here, this is a good one. Earliest and latest, you expect them to make a hire. So earliest, I would say it depends on who wins this weekend because, I don't know this with any amount of certainty. I haven't even heard whispers about it that, I don't know who the Titans like at all. The building is on lockdown. But I will say, if the Niners win, I think it pushes the hire a week because I think they're going to want to get Saleh in for a second interview. And so whether or not they end up hiring him, they're going to want to talk to him again unless they are really close between Saleh and somebody else that they really like and there's pressure on them to make a move because the other guy they really like has other offers and they just have to move on it. I think it could happen earliest, Thursday.
Yeah.
Next Thursday.
Yeah,
and that's early to me. I think more realistically, we're looking at a week from Monday, probably.
Yeah, I think you're looking at that, January 23rd to 27th window or 21st to 27th, that week is probably when I would assume that they might make the hire.
This is a Cam Ward committed to the Psych Ward shirt. Shout out to Austin Huff and Corked Bats and whoever made this shirt. It's another company. Sorry, can't remember. All right, should we look at this list one more time and say goodbye? In the home run tier, Robert Saleh, Mike McDaniel, and Mike McCarthy. Hang on, Justin. I'm sorry. There we go. Mike McDaniel. Well, even this is just me having a little bit of fun with you, Justin. Mike McDaniel, Mike McCarthy, Robert Saleh. In the Coordinators Matter tier, tier 2, Jesse Minter and Jeff Hafley. In the Reserving Judgment that could be successful, but we will have to wait and see if the wins show up on the field tier, are Kevin Stefanski and Matt Nagy. In the I really hope not, or they're probably better as a coordinator hire tier, we have Vance Joseph, Raheem Morris, Brian Daboll, Arthur Smith. And in the, you want to do the Michael Scott voice, Justin?
No, God, no!
We have Mike McCoy, Steve Spagnuolo, Jonathan Gannon, Jason Garrett, and Lou Anarumo. All right, folks. Is that going to do it? I believe it will. Any last questions you've seen, Melo? Anything else you want to hit? Do a poll of who the chat wants. Maybe we'll do this next Friday. You know what would be great, Justin, is if...
hire someone by next Friday. Never.
Yes, it would be great if they haven't hired anyone by next Friday, because then we can do 5 more pods of coaching content, and boy, do you people eat this crap up.
Listen, as Graver says that, all kidding aside, we don't just do it because you guys love it. That's what to talk about right now. They're hiring a head coach. The most important thing the team is doing right now. So I've really enjoyed these coaching pods. I'm going to miss them when they go away. It's so much fun to talk about this stuff. So I do think that's going to do it for today's live stream. I told Graver before this, I don't know that I could go an hour and a half. Here we are at an hour 35. We do it for you guys. You guys are the best. Thank you so much.
That this is not our plan. Like this is, I'm sorry if you love this, and we're having fun too. So like, don't get me wrong, but our plan is not to go 90 plus minutes every week. We are in a super heavy news cycle time. Maybe around free agency, maybe around the draft, we'll do more of these 90-minute pods. We're probably going to keep these between 30 and 60. I'd say closer to 45 on a typical weekly basis, but with everything happening and so much to talk about, I could literally keep talking head coach candidates with you for like 2 or 3 more hours if I had the time in the day. But yes, we do appreciate all the people stopping by and hanging out with us today.
Quick question, Kendall. I noticed you asked and you joined the stream pretty late, Kendall. The streams on Friday have been 10:30 a.m. Central. 10:30 a.m. Central, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. So good with my time zones. Are you on the West Coast, Kendall? 8:30 a.m. Pacific if you're on the West Coast. That has been, so you missed, I saw when you popped in here that you had missed most of it. You said, oh, we're going live? YouTube needs notifications. Yeah, you missed most of it, Kendall. The plan is for next Friday again, I believe, at 10:30 a.m. Central.
It seems like this is a good time for you guys, but maybe we'll consider 11 so that we catch the Pacific Coast not at 8:30 in the morning. I don't know. You guys let us know what you think. I like 10:30. Man, screw it. It's 10:30, and you guys will be here, or you'll watch the replay, and it is what it is. Is that right, Justin?
That is right. You guys will be here next week. Chaotic stream, but we had a lot of fun with you guys today. Got a little.
Thanks to Zach Lyons for.
You watch? You watch Always Sunny? You know when Charlie's the wild card? Wild card. That's what Zach was today. He's a damn wild card for today's stream. Thank you so much, guys, for joining the chat. Really, this has been an overwhelming success 2 years in a row. Really, really appreciate you. We will be back on Monday to talk head coaching candidates, whatever transpires over the weekend. We're going to get more Titans head coaching news over the weekend, almost certainly. And we'll be back to cover it Monday. And we'll see you guys Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and next Friday for another live stream. Thank you so much for the support today, guys. Y'all stay safe out there and tighten up.
A Broadway sports media production.